There's a moment almost nobody notices. Not the breakup itself. Not the first fight. Not that night you slept with your backs to each other. Much earlier than that. A quiet, barely visible moment when she made a decision. Not to leave. Not yet. Just to stop waiting. And here's the strange part. That was the exact moment she started finding herself. And you didn't know about it for months. You thought things were just running their course. Sure, there's tension sometimes. Sure, she's pulled back a little. Work, tiredness, her own mood. You weren't worried because on the surface everything looked fine. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't crying. She wasn't demanding a conversation. She just got a little quieter. And you read that as calm. But it was something else entirely. When a relationship ends, a man usually experiences it as a shock. Sudden, even if technically everything had been heading there for a long time. He wasn't ready, because in his version of reality, things were fine. But by that point, she had already walked halfway through. She had already lived through part of the pain. Already grieved part of the hope. She cried. But earlier, when you weren't watching, she asked herself questions, but not out loud. And by the time she finally says the words out loud, there's no storm inside her anymore. What's there is a tired, but final decision. That's exactly why after the breakup you go in different directions. She continues a journey she started without you. And you're just beginning. Let's be honest about why this happens. Why she felt something was wrong, and you didn't. It's not because you were inattentive. And it's not because she was hiding things. It's something else. It's about how each of you is actually present in the relationship. When a man enters a serious relationship, especially one that starts well, he often begins to treat it as something stable. Like a foundation he can build everything else on top of. Career, ambitions, plans. The relationship becomes the area where things are already figured out. So he stops going in there with questions. Why would he? Everything's good. A woman works differently. For her, a relationship isn't a backdrop. It's a living system she's constantly reading. She notices how you respond when you're tired. How you react when she says something that matters to her. Whether you're looking at your phone while she's telling you something personal. She's not consciously keeping score, but a picture is forming inside her. And at some point, that picture becomes clear enough for her to draw a conclusion. Not necessarily a harsh one. Sometimes just an honest one. He's not here. He's next to me, but he's not here. Here's what matters about that period. You were both in the same relationship, but you were living it differently. You, as a space that already exists. Her, as a space that needs to constantly feel alive. And when it stopped feeling alive to her, she didn't immediately tear it down. She started looking for that aliveness inside herself. That is the beginning of her transformation. Not after the relationship. During it. While you thought you were going through a rough patch, she was already asking herself the questions people usually only ask when they're alone. Who am I without this relationship? What do I actually want? What fills me up, and what only takes from me? These questions aren't a sign she didn't love you. They're a sign she started hearing herself. Because next to you, in that version of your relationship that had already cracked, she couldn't hear herself anymore. And this is where it gets important. Because there is a specific moment, not gradual, not vague, a point after which the way back becomes almost impossible. A moment most men either never notice at all, or notice way too late. And if you want to understand why she left, or why someone will leave, if nothing changes, you need to know what that point looks like. The point of no return doesn't look like a fight. It doesn't look like tears or a door slamming. Most of the time it looks like an ordinary evening. You came home, or you were texting, or you were lying next to each other, and she said something that mattered to her. Something that wasn't easy to say. Maybe about a fear. Maybe about a dream. Maybe about something that had been bothering her. About you. About the two of you. About the direction things were going. And you responded. But you responded past it. Not because you wanted to hurt her. You just didn't realize this wasn't a conversation. It was a test. Not deliberate. Not manipulative. She was simply checking in that moment. Are you here or not? And you were not here. Maybe you changed the subject. Maybe you gave advice when she just wanted to be heard. Maybe you said it'll be fine and went back to what you were doing. And on the surface it passed smoothly. She didn't get upset out loud. No scene. Just something inside her quietly closed. Like a window that shuts not from anger, but from a draft. That's the point. Not always just one. Sometimes there are several, and each one closes a little more. But after it, she stops bringing you what matters most. She keeps being there, but from the outside now, not the inside. She keeps talking, but not about what's actually hurting. And it's exactly in that period between the point of no return and the official end, that she starts taking back what she gave to the relationship. Her energy, her attention, the dreams she put on hold, herself, the version of herself that existed before you. Now, the signals. They were there. Almost always, they were there. They just don't look like red flags from a list on the internet. They look like regular life. The first signal, she stopped sharing small things. Not the big stuff, the small stuff. A funny video she saw, a weird conversation with a coworker, something she dreamed about. When someone stops sharing small things, it doesn't mean they have nothing to say. It means they no longer feel like it will land, like it's wanted. Small things are the glue of closeness. When the glue disappears, the structure holds for a while, but only on momentum. The second signal, she started handling things on her own. She used to call you when things were hard, or when she needed to make a decision, or just when she was anxious and needed to hear your voice. And then she stopped. Not because she got stronger, because she learned not to wait. That looks like independence, but inside it's learned loneliness. The third signal, the nature of the conflicts changed. More specifically, there were fewer of them. That seems like a good sign. But often it's not peace. It's surrender. She stopped fighting to get through to you. Because she was tired. Because she realized these conversations weren't going to change anything that mattered. Better to save her energy for herself. If you're in a relationship right now and you recognize even one of these, subscribe and like this video. Back to the main question. She went through all of it. Through the point of no return, through the quiet closing, through taking herself back, while still in the relationship. And when it ended, she didn't start a process. She continued one. You started from zero. That doesn't mean she won. And it doesn't mean you lost. Here's what actually happens to a man after a breakup he didn't see coming. The first weeks are the hardest. It just hurts. You function. You work. You reply to messages. You hold it together. But there's something pulling at you from the inside the whole time. Like a toothache that sits in the background and won't let you forget it for even an hour. Then the sharp pain fades. And that's when something else starts, something you didn't expect. Instead of relief, comes confusion. You don't understand how this happened. Not why she left. You piece together some version of that. But how you didn't notice where things were heading. You were there every single day and still missed something important. You don't know what. And that confusion presses harder than the pain itself. And at that point, there are a few roads people take. Some bury themselves in work, anything to not think. Others find someone new as fast as possible, anything to not sit alone with that feeling. Others start going through everything she did wrong. That's the most convenient road, because then someone else is to blame, not you. All of these work. The way painkillers work. You stop feeling the pain, but the cause doesn't go anywhere. And in the next relationship, it all repeats. Because the real question was never asked. And the question is simple. What wasn't I seeing? Not in her. In myself. She got to that question before you. And that is the only reason she's doing better now. Not because she's naturally stronger. Not because it didn't hurt her. But because the pain hit her earlier, while she was still in the relationship, and she didn't run from it. She was forced to sit with it. In silence. Without being able to talk to you about it. And that's exactly what changed her. You're at the start of the same path right now. Just delayed. And it's important to understand what that delay means. It's not a verdict. It doesn't mean you're hopeless, or that the next relationship will end the same way, or that you're always going to be behind. The delay is just a fact. A starting point. The question is what you do with it from here. Because there are two ways to go through a breakup where the other person comes out better. The first, turn it into a story about how you were left, how unfair it was, how you were undervalued. That story is comfortable. It takes the weight off you. And it slowly destroys you. Because in that story, you're permanently the person something bad was done to. Not the person who understood something and changed. The second way, use the delay as information. Ask yourself not why did she do this, but why didn't I see it? Not what was wrong with her, but where did I stop being present? Not how do I find someone again, but what do I need to change about how I show up next to people? These aren't comfortable questions. They don't give fast answers. But they're exactly what she went through without you. And they're what makes a person different. Not better in the sense of winning. Different in the sense of being capable of something they weren't before. There's one thing almost nobody talks about in the context of breakups, but I think it might be the most important thing. A man who goes through loss honestly, without running, without blaming, without going numb, becomes a different person to talk to. A different partner. Not because he now knows the rules or read the right books, but because he knows from the inside what it feels like to be next to someone, but not be there. and he can catch himself doing it. In himself. That's what she found. Not happiness, not freedom, not someone new. She found the ability to notice herself, to hear herself, to be inside her own life, not just beside it. And that's not some female superpower. It's simply what pain taught her when she didn't put it off until later. You can walk the same path. You're just starting now, and she started earlier. And the only loss that's actually possible here is not starting at all. I don't know what you're going through right now. Maybe the breakup just happened. Maybe it was a long time ago, but this question never went away. Why she's doing better. Why she seems to be moving forward, and you feel like you're standing still. If that question is in you, it means something inside you is already ready to answer it, not to find someone to blame. Turn on logic.